Islam,
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 Islamism.
Islam. Welcome to the
Praise
Moorish Sense Channel. If this is your first time tuning in, I'm your host, Brother Brendan Jordan Hill, Sheik of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Temple number 13, located here in Baltimore, Maryland, at 1055 North Milton Avenue, and also on the Moorish Sense Channel, your other host,
Brother Valans Bay, Sheik of the Moorish Science Temple of America, 1055 Milton Avenue, Temple number 13. Islam.
Islam. Praise Allah.
Praise Allah.
Praise Allah. Again, welcome to the Moorish Sense Channel. If this is your first time tuning in, you are in for a great segment, a great series. This won't be a one-part series. We will be getting into it. But before we even get into the series, as always, we want to start off or begin our series or segment with the Moorish-American prayer.
Islam.
Islam,
Islam.
Islam,
Islam.
Islam.
Allah, the Father of the universe,
Allah, the Father of the universe,
the Father of love,
Father of love,
truth,
truth,
peace,
peace,
freedom,
freedom,
and justice.
and justice.
Allah is my protector,
Allah is my protector,
my guide,
my God,
and my salvation
and my salvation
by night
by night
and by day
and by day
through his holy prophet,
through his holy prophet,
Drew Ali.
through Ali.
Amen.
Amen.
Islamism.
Islam. Praise Allah. I'd like to rise in the praises to Allah, the Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. I want to also give honor to his holy and divine prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America. I want to give honor to all past and present leaders of the Moorish Science Temple of America, those that we know and those that we don't know. I also want to give honors to our leadership. My Grand Sheik is at 1055 North Milton Avenue. My Grand Sheik is T. Jones Bay. I also want to give honors to our Royal Council. I want to give honors to all of our leaders, all of our elders, all of those who are still with us, and those who have transitioned to the next plane. May Allah be pleased with their life works and teachings. I want to give honors to my wife, Deputy Sheik is Tamika Joyner L, and my children, Prince Caleb and Princess Amina Joyner L. Islam.
Islamism. Praise
Islam.
Allah.
Praise Allah. So as I stated before, um, this segment right here is called "The Prophet's Way is Right and the Other Way is Wrong." And Sheik, you and I, we often heard this statement or this quote uh,
Mm-hmm.
from our past Grand Sheik, but also our teacher, Grand Sheik Ronald Thornhill.
Islam.
And it was always something that resonated with me when he would say this during the end or towards the end of his demonstrations or even midway through. It was a thought in my mind. When he would say it, I would say, what does the Grand Sheik mean when he says the prophet's way is right and
Mm-hmm.
the other way is wrong? And
Right.
being in the temple for a little while now, the Moorish Science Temple of America, I'm starting to see just a glimpse of what the Grand Sheik Thornhill was not only imparting to us, but also was preparing us for along the way on this journey, on this straight and narrow path, as many call Moorish Science, and Moorish Science Temple of America, as taught by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali.
Right.
And then also, you before I came into the temple, there were a lot of things that I started noticing and seeing being displayed, and
Mm-hmm.
demonstrated on YouTube as well as social media. This is before I proclaimed my nationality, before I joined the Moorish Science Temple of America, and it appealed to me. And
Mm-hmm.
I had a total misunderstanding, a total misconception, or misunderstanding as to what this movement and this organization is predicated on.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result of that, when I came into the temple, I had to be re-educated because I thought, based off of the things that I saw on social media on YouTube, that ultimately it was about defying the law, meaning going contrary to the law of the land,
Mm-hmm.
uh, just being very aggressive. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't like really using that word aggressive because I believe it's misplaced sometimes, especially when it comes to Asiatics. But
Mm-hmm.
just being, assertive. And there's nothing wrong with being assertive or asserting yourself when there's wrongdoing. But I found myself being somewhat captivated at the age of like 20 at these videos of these brothers and these sisters who were saying, hey, this person doesn't have the right or they don't have any jurisdiction over me and things of this nature.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result of that, I had to be re-educated in the Moorish Science Temple of America.
Mm-hmm.
This segment right here, we're not going to muddle or mince words, and we're not going to be short on words either. We're going to be making it clear, making it plain as to the distinction between The teachings of the Prophet Noble Ali, what the Prophet Noble Ali instructed Moorish Americans, those who are members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, to do and what not to do, how to behave, how to conduct yourself. And we're also going to help the public make a clear distinction as well.
Mhm.
Because over the last, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, Sheik, but over the last maybe month or so, we've had several instances where we've had individuals either come to the temple or reach out to our administration personally and ask us questions. And we've had to, regarding this whole sovereign wave, which has been going on for a long time, and we
Mhm.
dispel, refute, and even politely combat a lot of the misinformation that was put out.
Right.
So this show, this episode, is not to single any particular group out, but as they often say, as the elders would say, if it doesn't apply, let it fly, and only a hit dog hollers. So we'll
Mhm.
see who does the hollering pretty soon. She, you want to add anything?
Yeah, yeah. Just that um that we are scholar practitioners, and what it doesn't, that's not like a braggadocious type of thing. It's basically we take a critical, careful, and a advanced educational way, as we were taught, right, to just carefully observe what's being said to us, carefully observe what the prophet is saying. And when you look at the things that the prophet says, you can clearly see how people have come and put their own understanding on that, right? On what it is that they're teaching, right? So, um, when I first came in united in the Moorish Science Temple of America, I think it was December something 1998, right? Um, there were people. One of the sayings was in the temple that the Moorish Science Temple of America is not an organization that harbors law violators. Because, of course, by us being a society, by us, being, we have rights, we have honors in society that we are due,
That's right.
and they were highly honored, still are to some degree, but people were taking advantage of that. They were going out committing crimes, and they were trying to come into the Moorish Science Temple of America to save them from going to prison or jail and things of this nature, right?
That's right.
And then you had those individuals who maybe had children outside of maybe a marriage or whatever, and
Hmm.
then child support was coming after them
That's right.
and suspending their licenses, and what they were trying to cook up all these other type of things, and saying they were diplomats and things of this nature. And at the time, it was a group called the Azazian Moors. That was something that was never founded by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. That was something that somebody came up and tried to make a distinction among themselves. And after that, man, the list goes on, right?
Hmm. Right.
Of individuals coming up with innovations, um, and saying that it's this is what the Prophet Noble Drew Ali was teaching,
Right.
um, and this is because what I notice is too, right, and a lot of people, especially now on social media, I've been hearing, because I'm not on social media, but
Yeah, I know.
yeah, I hear a lot like people, they go on bickering back and forth about making memes,
Hmm.
who's right, who's wrong. Now, what this does, this corrupts our public image, right?
Sure.
Because number one, nobody wants to hear people going back and forth all the time.
That's
Second,
true.
it takes away from our professionalism, because we are professionals and we uplift fallen humanity, and we do it in a way that has been established by Prophet Noble Drew Ali, right?
Right.
So you had these people who um they they haven't come in the temple or entered certain halls of learning the proper way. And
Right.
this is why you see what you see,
That's
right?
right.
We're not like we're not being judgmental of people, but we
No.
are taking a critical look at what it is that has been done, what is being done, and we're educating the public on utilizing number one ourselves. And by all means, I'm not perfect, but using us, brothers like Zim Hopkins Bay, um, um, other good moral brothers, using them as measuring sticks, if you will, of Moorish American life, and what the teachings of Prophet Noble Drew Ali should do. Matter of fact, yeah. So, and not saying only us. That's not what we're saying.
No. Not at all.
We're saying good moral character and judgment. Now, if you choose to follow certain people, we talk about energy, frequency, and tone. Maybe if that's what your energy, frequency, and tone is, then by all means, follow that of what your energy, frequency, and tone is. It's no love lost, but
True.
um, we need to talk about um, what's happening, because there have been tons of people based off of this misinformation who's um, the federal has wound up in federal prison.
Hmm.
There are several people who have lost their lives,
That's right.
and there are several people who are in mental institutions because of some of the stuff that people are putting out there. So I don't want people to think that we like going back and forth with nobody, or that's not what we're doing. We are presenting a critical look at what the Prophet Noble Drew Ali says, and we're not interpreting in it how we wanted to fit our narrative. Because a lot of people don't like structure, Mo.
That's true.
You
That's
know,
true, man.
and what winds up happening is they'll start putting myths out like, oh, them Moors,
They do this,
they
they do
this,
that,
that, all that type of stuff, and
all over, man.
that's just to keep the confusion going, because they don't want to follow the rules, or they saying what other people not doing. But that, like I said, that takes away from our professionalism. That takes
Right.
away from people wanting to become members of the
Right.
team. That takes away from members who are good members. They get tired of hearing that type of stuff from their own brothers and sisters,
That's
when
right.
our principles are to practice love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
That's right.
So yeah, that's my little 2 cents.
Okay, good. No, it was actually on point, and it was on time. Definitely on time, because the thing about it is the prophet he mentions. And we're gonna just go briefly to a chapter. We're gonna go to the insufficiency of knowledge. So if
Hmm.
you look at verse 18, and this is where we're at right now. We're at this place in this point in time. The prophet says in verse 18, he says, "Say not unto thyself, behold, truth breedeth hatred, and I will avoid it. Dissimulation raiseth friends, and I will follow it." And the prophet says this. He says, "Are not the enemies made by truth better than the friends obtained by flattery?" So we're not going to flatter anyone on this channel. And I think you spoke to the point, Sheik, in regards to, people kind of sowing misinformation and disinformation, and even, I don't even want to say evil seeds, but evil seeds in the minds of individuals.
Hmm.
It has a lot to do with a lack of discipline.
Yeah.
A lot of people do a lot of outward show. This is what I'm about. This is what I stand for, etc. But when you really, we don't have to peer into anyone's life, but when you really see what's going on and happening behind the scenes, it's a stark contrast of what they're putting out. So all I would say is, as the prophet says, caveat emptor, let the buyer
All
beware
right,
on
be
that.
right.
Let the liar beware. I know that you made mention to me when we were offline. You wanted to talk a little bit. You mentioned earlier about harmony, tone, and pitch.
Oh
And
yeah,
you
yeah.
gave-
Harmony. So I
Right,
want to talk a little bit about energy, frequency, vibration, harmony, tone, and pitch.
right,
Right.
right.
The prophet, um, he named it the Moorish Science Temple of America, right? And before we get into um so those 6 words that we are talking about, basically over on our records, and in some places in the temple, one of the first things that you see is know thyself,
That's right.
right? So um when we come into the temple, it's called the Moorish Science Temple of America. So that means there are some elements of science to what it is that we do. Okay. And we, as an ancient people, have always practiced science, right?
Right.
I mean, the science of knowing yourself, right? The science of spirituality, the
Science of
science,
breathing.
huh?
The science of breathing, like Sheik Rogers Bay demonstrated,
Okay,
or
right.
often does, in our Sunday
Mhm.
schools. Science of breathing.
The science of breathing, um, the science of charity.
That's right.
All of these are sciences. And when the Prophet Noble Drew Ali was teaching, he taught in an esoteric way to individuals. Now, if your energy, frequency, and vibration, if you are not working on it, and then that means that your harmony, tone, and pitch will be off, and you're gonna miss something, and you're not going to get the esoteric aspect of what is being taught.
Right.
Now, you what is esoteric? Now we've talked about this before, but
Hmm.
it needs to be clear, right? Um, Esoteric nature of the teachings are designed for or understood by specially initiated alone, right? And some people will say, "Oh, we know and understand what that initiation is. It
Hmm.
ain't, it's
It
it's
ain't
not
that.
it's not what most people think,
Right.
right? And we're not going to be speaking on it a whole lot. But when you meet somebody, for example, I've Grand Sheik Haru Reniciel is on, right?
Hmm.
I met him some years ago uh via Grand Sheik Brownell. I think it was in North Carolina, if I'm not
Carolina, the Moorish Unity Summit.
right, right.
Hmm.
So when I met him, I was like, wow, I could feel his energy, right?
Right.
And then the way he carry himself, the way he say certain things, I'm like, okay, I totally automatically understood who he was. You
Right.
understand what I'm saying? So furthermore, even though we didn't talk or every day or whatever the case may be, he um actually we kept, we would keep in touch, talk here and there and everything like that, right?
Right.
Um and that there are other individuals as well, right? So just you know, I know, and I was able to catch on to his vibration, energy, and frequency, right?
That's law.
All right. Now, um, esoteric is it requires or it exhibits it is exhibiting knowledge that is restricted to a small group.
Hmm.
So the prophet knew where everybody was along the way because you just made mention to caveat emptor.
Right.
So of course he didn't teach everybody everything, and also he pretty much knew according to a person's frequency, energy, and tone where they were along the way. And if he did teach a certain thing, because they might have had a low energy, vibration, frequency, and tone, they may not have been able to comprehend it, what he was teaching, what he was saying, right?
That's right.
And then it further. Now, these definitions come from a college or encyclopedia dictionary, right?
Okay.
Um, it says that it's difficult to understand. You know how when we tell people, man, we not Negro, black, and colored, it's difficult for them to understand.
All the time.
But because we have been initiated, right?
Hmm.
Meaning when we came into the temple, we had an open mind. we were looking for a change in life.
That's right.
Um, and we knew that it was something different or had something different that had to be done. We were introduced to and so to speak, we were initiated. Nothing by
Nothing.
anything
Yeah.
that somebody done or whatever, but we were
We ain't
initiated.
talking like that. Right.
All right. So now what was difficult for us to understand no longer was difficult. Okay. Um, so now check this one out. It's of special, rare, or unusual interest. Somewhere it says that a member's interest can be only in what? One
One.
direction.
That's right.
So you have to have an interest in what it is that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali is talking about and elevating yourself spiritually,
That's
right?
right.
And once you had that interest, now certain things start to happen and your life starts to change and it unfolds. Like the prophet says, what he said, what man's God today, tomorrow is not as God. Meaning that how, I mean, maybe you can relate to this, Mo. When you first came in the temple, I mean, and I think you can because you said it. When you first came into the temple, you had one idea,
Mm-hmm.
but as you came and you were introduced to certain things, now what wound up happening is what your God was when you first came into the temple. Years later, it's not that God.
And can you break down for those who may be viewing? Because I know some may look at
Mhm.
God and they know that we're not talking about the great God Allah. We're talking about
Yeah,
what
we're
we're talking
talking
about.
about your ideas of what
Idea.
life was about.
Right.
What that was your God at that time,
Right.
right?
It was
Because
at that
that's how
time.
you perceived the world. That's how you understood, or maybe even related to the Creator
Right.
at that time.
That's right.
But once you came into the temple and you started getting the gist of, and you started seeing, like, for example, the Grand Sheik,
Mm-hmm.
you start seeing other sheiks or other people who were their interest was in uplifting, calling
Right.
humanity
That's right.
and themselves in that one direction.
That's right.
Now you started to change the very fabric of how you saw what you thought the creator was
Exactly.
or what you thought Allah was.
That's right.
So that's what I'm when I say man's or woman's God today, tomorrow is not as God, because we know that a God is an idea. It could be an ideal,
Right.
right?
Ideal, not idle, but ideal.
Ideal,
That's right.
right?
Right.
So your ideal, and that's what we should want to do. Just like if you go on a job, your ideal is to go in as an employee,
That's right.
but you should want to
Aspire.
aspire, right? You should aspire to become um maybe at a higher level at your job,
Right.
or maybe get something different that does a higher level of what it is that you do at your job.
Right.
Or maybe
Better.
you might start out at a job as a graphic artist,
Right.
and as you continue to grow and unfold, maybe you'll leave being an employee and start your own business,
That's
which
right.
is an aspiration and which is aspiring, and being your own business owner as opposed to being an employee, that is a growth
That's
situation.
right.
You
That's
said,
right.
and that's a unfoldment of an ideal.
That's right.
Okay,
Praise the
so
Lord.
I also want to talk about exoteric,
Hmm.
right? When you talk about exoteric, that is suitable to be imparted to the public or belonging to the outer, less initiate circle relating to like the outside. So now when people come and they are only focusing on like history, or telling you go ask your grand sheik this or that,
Right.
and I'm doing this and y'all ain't, or he ain't doing, or no other grand sheik is doing that. That is
It's an outward way of
that's
thinking.
the outward view of what it is that the prophet is talking about. And
Wow.
now what happens is that particular person shows that their interest is not in one direction. And also they show that they haven't been initiated.
Hmm.
And it could possibly potentially mean that either they wasn't paying attention to the teacher at the time, because their mind was far away on goal.
Hmm.
What's the verse that say, while your mind is far away on goal? Um,
Human equality, the chapter Human
yeah,
Equality.
human equality, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but
Hmm.
now now you see those who are exoteric and those who are esoteric, right?
That's right. That's right.
So praise Allah. That I wanted to. So then all that to say is a lot of people, oh, the Moors, they singing hymns, and man, look, somebody wanna. All right, let's just talk about rap, right? Because my
Hmm.
wife actually just did a praise Allah for her.
Praise Allah, yeah, I
Did a
say that.
she just did a video, right?
That's right.
And she composed that she composed those bars or verses, right? And
Hmm.
they meant a certain thing. And those who know what she knows, and she was putting that energy out there for to capture someone's mind. So
Right.
that's what the song book or when we come in and let's say we trying to save a sin sick soul from hell's dog door. It ain't got nothing to do with Christianity, right?
Not at
And
all.
and a prime example is this one right here, right? And the things I used to do,
Do
I
I don't
don't do
do.
those things no more.
That's
Well,
right.
those things I used to do, I don't do those things no more. Those lies I used to tell, I don't tell those lies no more. There's a great change in me. Man,
That's
first
right.
coming in the temple, I heard that. Man, I was like, okay. And in my everyday life, I was, you might catch me singing it, right?
Right.
I've been
Right.
in a great mood. Also, my daughter and
Hmm.
my children,
Wow.
I used to sing things to them, right? And
Right.
and now our bond, and I'm not just saying those particular songs, but the more songs have been composed and put together uh, for a specific purpose.
That's
They're
right.
not no Christian hymns where we just take Prophet Noble Drew Ali name and put it in there.
Yeah.
And if a
No.
person says that, guess what? They have truly not been initiated into what it is that the Moorish Science Temple of America is about. Could you pull up that music scale for me, please?
Yeah, we got it right here.
And if you could, I
I'm
don't
gonna
know if
zoom
you
in. Yeah, I'm gonna
can
zoom in.
see that. As you can see, is the musical note and scale corresponds with so many things. Um,
Good.
you really get when you really get deep into it. You understand? So that takes us into energy, frequency, vibration, and tone. And um, when you look in the center of it, it says triune God. Well, we know the true name of God is Allah,
That's
right?
right.
So somewhere in the record we talk about the triune Allah, right?
That's right.
And we talk about the high self, right?
That's right.
And the high self is the mother of virtues, the
Virtues.
harmonies of life that breeds justice, mercy, love, and right. So now when you look at this image right here, this shows you that our song book is more than just a hymn or us um being or thinking that we in a church. It's more than that.
That's
For
right.
those who want to spew that lie and myth, um, or that I'm gonna say that misunderstanding, because it can't. If you've never been exposed to it, then you can't. You're not able to demonstrate, and you will get a misunderstanding of it. And
Right.
now you see how you see how uh, um in this you see the hours of the day and how, man, there's so many different other degrees in there, but
Right.
everybody take a good look at that. And that's this is the science behind when we sing this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
That's
Man,
right.
we talking about the light that's inside of
Right.
us.
You. Right. Come on now.
We not talking about no nothing that anything remotely um that you understand what I'm saying, bro.
Yeah, we ain't talking about no. Yeah, this ain't that
And
demonstration.
not, yeah, it ain't that. But a person with a carnal mind, or a person that has never been, visited a temple, or truly sat down and talked to an elder, will understand
Right.
this scale that we're showing people right now on the screen. So that's how important, when we come to our Friday Holy Day meetings, when we are able to attend our Sunday schools and our various other meetings that we come to, this is the energy, frequency, vibration that we harmonizing to,
That's
or harmonizing our the very fabric of our being to. So
that's right.
praise Allah.
Praise the Lord.
Yeah.
That's a great
And
point. Go ahead, Shay.
also um they are, if you will, people call them stories, right? Or oral tradition. Okay. Now, the oral tradition has always existed from the beginning, from it time immemorial. We can't really even count how long it has been in existence, right? But it existed for a certain purpose, and the reason that it existed is because there are certain things that you only gonna understand by somebody putting you on point with what is being said orally, if a person is making reference to. And the oral tradition is the practice of passing down cultural knowledge, history, and stories through speech, memory, and non-writing conversations, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what this does, a prime example, um, George Washington, right?
Okay.
It took me to talk to an elder to find out when it says George, my father, I cannot tell a lie. I did chop down a cherry tree, right?
Right.
It took me to talk to an elder like Mo. You gotta go deep into that story, because I was explained that story is a myth, but it's symbolic of what happened to our people.
Exactly.
When you see how many wars that George Washington had with a certain group of people,
Right.
then you would say, oh, and then there's some other things that go along with it, which we won't, for the sake of time, we won't go into it. But it's a lot. You can't just use a exoteric of, oh, I'm gonna look at this newspaper article, or I'm a read the Circle Seven. You need a guide, man,
That's
and
true.
somebody that can help guide your mind aright. And then once once you get a crumb or two, now Allah is going to do the rest.
Right.
So, and this is where it say in the record, it says, as man unfolds, his God unfolds. And we talked about, as man, what man's God today, tomorrow is not as
My
God.
God. That's right.
It's like your child. When mothers, they may be able to relate when you first have your child, and you have to feed them, and then you know um after the months pass by, now
Mm-hmm.
the baby starts holding their own bottle.
That's right.
Then they start sitting up, by themselves, and they start doing different things and growing into beings, or human adults like we are today, right? Because all of us didn't start I didn't start out with
No.
this film.
It took me about 20 years to grow this.
Right. So,
25.
and it's like that when you first come into the temple,
Right.
so
Right.
um all those people who are telling them lies and myths, or whatever they telling, uh, don't go to the temple because of this.
No, we're gonna
But
get
then
into
they
that.
turn around and they ask you for you to buy a package or a nationality card or something like that.
Yep.
So yeah, praise Allah, Mo. So
Praise
that's
Allah.
my little 2 cents on that part right there.
Well said and well stated. All right. So where do we want to go with this? I want to go to, let's look at the voice of the prophet.
Okay.
And then after that, we'll go to the humanity pamphlet. All right. So the voice of the prophet. The prophet Noble Drew Ali's words. So we're going to always refer you back to the prophet because the prophet was divinely prepared by Allah, and we're not going to, as Sheikh Bey mentioned earlier, we're not going to put a spin on things. We're not going to use the prophet's words to try to justify um, our our understanding or interpretation of it. And if we do get anything wrong, or if we often had to, please don't charge it or subscribe to the prophet, but subscribe to us. All right. So the voice of the prophet. This is what the prophet says, and then we're going to get into exactly what Sheikh Bey just mentioned regarding people who are misusing and misrepresenting the words of the prophet, the teachings of the prophet, in order to satisfy their earthly gain of salvation. The voice of the prophet. If you have race pride and love your race, join the Moorish Science Temple of America. I want to stop right there. I want everybody to pay very close attention to that point. And let me see, make sure I'm zoomed in enough. Yep. The prophet says, if you have race pride and love your race, join the Moorish Science Temple of America. Well, when I came into the temple, I didn't know what my race was, but I know I had race pride.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that I loved my race. I knew I was a lover of my race. I knew I loved my people, but I just couldn't understand how and why we were in the condition that we were in. And it took a true and divine prophet to teach me, and again, the prophet wasn't on the scene, but I learned by those who were already practicing, like you mentioned earlier, Sheikh, those who were taking the teachings of the prophet Noble Dry Lee, applying it to their lives, and changing their way of thinking and understanding their ideal, and to move and live a better life, be
Mm-hmm.
a model example, be a pattern for the sons of man. The prophet says, and become a part of this divine movement. So the Moorish Science Temple of America is a divine movement. Some people say it's a divine and national movement, but for me, from my understanding, it's both one and the same. There's no
Mm-hmm.
such thing as a separation. It
Right.
says, then you have the power to redeem your race because you will know who you are and your forefathers were. Because where there is unity, there is strength. Together we stand, divided we fall. So this goes back to what we were saying earlier. This isn't to lambash anyone, but this is to point out that there are people who are amongst us, on YouTube, Facebook, and even in society in general, who are in error. And what they're doing, and again, like I said, I'm not going to muddle words, is wrong. It's not in according with the teachings of the Prophet Noble Dry Lee. It's actually diametrically opposed to the teachings of the Prophet Noble Dry Lee, and it's causing a great confusion in the hearts and the minds of many good people. And
Mm-hmm.
as a result of that, people are suffering, both morally, financially, spiritually, economically, etc., because some people are just selfish. That's just I'm just gonna put it out there. And some people just don't know, but others are just selfish. The
Mm-hmm.
prophet says, "Come, good people, because I, the prophet, sent to redeem this nation from mental slavery, which you have now, need every one of you who think that your condition can be better. This is a field open to strong men and women to uplift the nation and take your place in the affairs of men." Well, just my understanding, or just how I view this, you first have to be taught before you can uplift.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you can uplift simultaneously, but you have to be taught. And as you mentioned earlier, you do need a guide. You will need someone to pattern your life after, because if your life is all over the place, if you're this way and that way, if 1 minute, you hot and you cold or even lukewarm, you're going to mislead people. And quite frankly, you might even hurt somebody or hurt yourself.
Right.
I can't, and again, I'm not going to sit here and let me zoom down a little bit. I'm not going to make this a personal thing, but often when I see, people, whether it be on social media or even conversations, when they're talking about the flaws and the issues of individuals, and I find that they've been numerous places, what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Numerous places, which is nothing wrong with that. You study under various different places, but you don't have a foundation that speaks volumes to not the totality of the person at that point in time. And when you find issues and faults with others, you really got to take an objective look at yourself and what you're not doing right, or what you
Mm-hmm.
may need to improve on. She, you
Well,
want to say
well,
something?
yeah, yeah. 'Cause I call it temple hopping,
It
right?
is. That's what it is. It
And,
really is.
and let the truth be told. I've been at the same temple for 26 years, I think.
That's right.
All right. Yeah, got upset with my teacher plenty of times, right?
Yeah. Come
In
on,
fact,
man.
all the
Right.
time,
We
you
get it.
know. And I'm quite sure that my teacher got upset with me too.
Right.
So
Come on.
I'm gonna use this as an example, right now.
Right.
when I first graduated high school, okay, I'm like, all right, I tried to, I tried the college thing, right?
Right.
So the first place I went to was a community college.
Yeah.
What I quickly learned about community college, for me, it was the 13th grade, okay, and I just didn't do well, right?
Right.
I was, I was playing around. I didn't have the discipline, and so guess what? I blame that it was the college and the environment, which yeah, it was right,
Yeah.
but also it was me. Okay,
That's right.
so guess what? I went to a university. Okay, and yeah, it was a little better and stuff like that, but I had made some very different decisions in my life, and now I had to take care of children. I had to, you know, also some other things that was going on, and once again, here it is. I blame the university. Like, man,
Hey,
they,
listen,
they,
they ain't trying to work with
not
me.
that,
You're right.
right? So
I've been there.
I'm like, man, college ain't for me.
Right.
So I left.
Right.
Then in later years, I I grew up and I started to see how, and not that my life was going in a bad direction, but I knew that I was going to need more because I had children to take care of, and I wanted to be a family man, so I had to make a decision, and I gained a level of maturity, and then I found a university that could suit my needs, and then at that time my level of maturity was a little higher, and I was able to finish. I was able to finish, you
Right. Right.
know. But all that to say is, when you see people that's temple hopping, come on, everything ain't bad about the temples or the
Can't
temples that
be.
they've been in.
Can't be.
It's something going on with them internally. You get what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
Yeah. So that's it. And I use myself as an example. And when I see it, I can identify with it because I've been in that situation, not in a temple situation, but in a higher learning situation. You see
That's
what I'm
right.
saying?
That's right.
So I have a little experience, so I know what I'm saying.
Praise the Lord.
Yeah, praise Allah.
Yeah, and it ain't a stab or a jab at anybody. It's just
No, not at all.
no,
It's
it's just
it's just
behavior.
what it is, Mo.
Man, it's behavior, man. You
Yeah.
know, that's what it is. So the prophet says, and we're gonna, end off the voice of the prophet. The prophet
Mhm,
says, if the Europeans and other nations are helping me, why not you? The prophet says, it is your problem. The
mhm,
Negro problem is being solved only as it can, and that is by the Moorish National Divine Movement. And we're
mhm.
not talking about a separate organization. We're talking about the Moorish Science Temple of America.
That's
The
right.
Moorish Science Temple of America. We're not talking about something that was incorporated by somebody else where they're charging people for fake nationality packets and
Mhm,
things of that nature, stealing
mhm,
finance. We're talking about the Moorish Science Temple of America. It says if you have a nation, you must have a free national name in order to be recognized by this nation as an American citizen. So this is the hit, as Sheikah Greenhill will often say. The
mhm,
prophet lets us know, number one, that we are American citizens. The prophet also states that if we see that our conditions can be better, to join the Moorish Science Temple of America.
mhm,
And we're going to show a little bit. It's going to get a little sketchy in a minute, because it's a distinction between what the Prophet Noble Ali uh, prescribed for the Moorish Americans, as opposed to what a lot of this, and I'm going to use the word bogus, a lot of this bogus stuff that we see on social on the internet, on Google and things of that
mhm,
nature.
mhm,
And then because of that, you have various different organizations making policies and things of that nature that are lumping the Moorish Science Temple of America and Moorish Americans in the same breath with these individuals who have never sat in the Moorish Science Temple of America, may have attended a meeting in the Moorish Science Temple of America, but never took out membership or united in the Moorish Science Temple of America, and quite frankly, never committed to changing their condition ultimately.
mhm,
So we are in this segment, we're going to make a distinction between the two. The prophet says, if you have a nation, you must have a free national name in order to be recognized by this nation as an American citizen. This is what was meant when it is said, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all things will be added unto you by the prophet. Islam,
I got a question.
go ahead.
So, or it's so we have seek ye first the kingdom of heaven,
That's right.
and all things will be added unto you. And that's in quotes, right?
Right.
So that means that that statement is coming from somewhere else. Would you agree with that?
I agree with that statement.
Something in quotes, that means it's coming from somewhere else.
Right.
Now, not asking you specifically or anybody specifically. It's just I mean, I know the answer to the question, but I'm wondering where or who said that.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
we know.
for
We
Bible
both
scholars,
know. Yeah. Right.
for Bible scholars who read the Bible, we know and understand that Jesus said that.
Right.
Also, when you read the Bible and you go a little deeper, Jesus also told you where the kingdom of heaven was,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
And he said the kingdom of heaven is within you,
Within.
right?
That's
That
right.
or within, right?
That's
So
right.
don't take my word for it, go study it. And so now we see that some here we go again. Uh for the umpteenth time, the prophet is pointing us to know ourselves.
Come
Because
on, man.
that's what we do when we study within. You get what I'm saying?
I hear you.
Yeah. Praise Allah.
Praise Allah. All right. So I know we wanted to talk a little bit about flags, but before that, I want to go into the nationality card.
Hmm.
All right. So what I have here, you may have seen it. Many people may have seen it. This is. It's not a 3140 Indiana Avenue nationality card, but this is a nationality card.
Okay.
It's pretty standard. It's pretty standard to what you would receive when you come into the temple.
Right.
And I want to show individuals the distinction between the two. So the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, he taught not only in symbolism, but he also taught, as you mentioned, he taught esoterically and esoterically.
Hmm.
And the Prophet, not most of the reason, but primarily the Prophet dealt with symbolism because symbolism is something that our foremothers and forefathers, they used and utilized prior to us learning specific languages. For example, the English language, Spanish, etc. And as you see this, the Prophet, it says Islam, Star of the Crescent, Hand Press of Unity, and some say the Circle 7 Allah. It says this is your nationality identification card for the Moorish Science Temple of America and birthrights for the Moorish-Americans, etc. We honor our true and divine prophets, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, and Confucius. May the blessings of the God, our Father, Allah, be upon you that carry this card. I do hereby declare that you are a Muslim, not Muslim, but Muslim, under the divine laws of the Holy Koran of Mecca, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And it's in quotes. It's in quotes now. I'm a citizen of the USA, Noble Drew Ali the Prophet, and it has an address at that time, right?
Hmm.
This is, even though it may vary, the address may vary in this era of time, and throughout the time this card was issued, even prior to this card was issued, this is pretty much the standard of what you receive when you come into the temple.
Right.
And in it, you're going to receive on those lines um, by the secretary or by an official. They're going to put your name as well as the name, or I'm gonna say name for this instance, annexed to your name given at birth, right? They're going
Hmm.
to put that on there.
Hmm.
And this is for a very important reason because when you get into it, or the understanding of what you're receiving, you are receiving what is allowing you to make a change in your life,
Hmm.
symbolically, but also literally. You're saying, look, the person who I once was, as you mentioned before, I am willing to come into the understanding through gradual growth and development that I'm going through a change. And as a result of me changing this, as a result of me going through this change, I'm willing to at least sit and learn how to change my actions, my behavior, my conduct, and how I treat people and myself first and then others in society and at large. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali never said that we were in variance against other nationalities of people. Never said we were in variance with the European. As a matter of fact, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, he never even said we were in variance with the law. So let's go to this real briefly. And Sheik, you can stop me and interject at any time because I'm kind of getting wound up now a little
Now
bit.
I get wound up.
Here we go. This is standard as well. And I'm going to show everybody that the prophet, he teaches us to study the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America and the Divine Constitution and bylaws in order to become a good Moorish leader. This is a copy of the Divine Constitution and bylaws. Let me zoom in so everyone can see it. Again, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, he taught in symbolism. Again, esoterically and esoterically. Some people may try to say, oh, this isn't the Divine Constitution of bylaws because the name Allah isn't on it. But when you investigate this, this is one of the older copies of the Divine Constitution and bylaws.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to give honors, may Allah be pleased, if our past chairman, Grant Conrad Johnson, there, because he's the one who gave many of us this copy.
Okay.
And our rock power. But the Prophet, Noble Drew Ali, the Divine Constitution of bylaws, the Divine Constitution of bylaws that governs the lives of Moorish-Americans, members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, making a distinction between us and those who say they are following the Prophet, those who say that they come in the name of the Prophet, but really they're coming in the name of vanity, ego, pride, jealousy, greed, hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, theft, and everything that harms. They're not going contrary to the law, because you find, and we're going to see in a minute in some articles, where people have been responsible for stealing properties,
Mm-hmm.
responsible for getting people arrested, responsible for creating bogus, and I did say bogus, identification cards that have no type of salvation with them in at all. And as a result, people have been getting jammed up. So the Prophet says, and it's three occasions, right?
Mm-hmm.
The first one, Act 3. I want to focus on Act 3 because it may sound like my speech right now is that I'm falsely accusing of putting somebody in danger. But me being an adherent to these divine constitution and bylaws, the Prophet says, well, let's read what the Prophet says. He says, Act 3. He says, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced. So along with you proclaiming your nationality, we also have to proclaim these 5 principles.
That's right.
And they have to be a part of us. It isn't just lip service. It isn't just me saying love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, as you often hear people say, but it has to be an embodiment of what you are bringing. And we know and understand, as the Prophet has taught us in chapter 3, you have a higher self and you have a lower self. So at times, you may be demonstrating these 5, and at times, 5 of that other man might creep in. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? They
Because
might creep in.
we
Go
got a
ahead,
high self and a lower self.
come on, man.
Man is truth and falsehood strangely mixed, and we subject to error.
Mm-hmm.
But when we do err, we should hold ourselves accountable and also make a speedy reparation to who, if we committed an error to a person,
That's right.
or if we just out of order, we hold ourselves accountable and make a speedy reparation. If we've offended someone, then we go to that person and we do what is needed to be done.
That's right.
If that person is willing to forgive us or not, we still need to do what needs to be done.
That's long.
So yeah.
Praise Allah.
Oh, I know you still demonstrating, but once you get finished demonstrating,
Yes.
I want. Could you move? Once you get finished, though, let me know, and I'll because I want to address something too.
That's perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So the Prophet says, no member is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. And just me thinking, the Prophet, of course, he's mentioned brothers and sisters within the temple, but also who are living by these 5 divine principles. Act 4 and Act 5, the Prophet's dealing with he's focusing our attention on the government. The Prophet says, all members must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all members must obey the laws of the government. And what you see happening right now, you see people springing up, or you've been seeing springing up bogus governments, calling them consulates, and all different types of little offshoots and things of that nature.
Right.
Go ahead, Sheik.
Because they read an article,
Mm-hmm.
and they saw a language that the article used, and they automatically assumed that this was what was being done.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
not really understanding that the person who was writing in the newspaper may have utilized a choice word
Right.
that actually had nothing to do with the temple. It was just how that reporter was writing at that time. And because they didn't understand that, and they didn't make reference to the prophet's teachings, they take what was in the article and then they come out and they start using consulate and Man, yeah, it's and
Yeah.
the Prophet Noble Drew Ali never established a consulate.
Never established a consulate. Makes reference to an empire, but never established that either.
Mm-hmm.
And the prophet, and what I mean by never established is that that's not what the prophet used in his language per se.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't use that. But the prophet says all members must obey the laws of the government because by being a Moorish-American, you are a part and parcel of the government and must live a life accordingly. And here we go. So you see people putting spins and they don't want to be Moorish-Americans, but they want to be
Mm-hmm.
everything else. They want to attach and affix everything to Moorish. And the prophet, he lets us know specifically who we are. And those
Mm-hmm.
who are using it, they're out of order. But then he also says, in Act 5, he says, this organization of the Moorish Science Temple of America is not to cause any confusion. And that's what we're seeing right now.
Mm-hmm.
So our organization, the Moorish Science Temple of America, and this may sound a little harsh, and I don't mean it to say harsh, but we're not in the business of winning people over with friendship by flattery. If we know and understand that somebody is attempting to misuse and abuse the teachings of the prophet, if we have a rapport with them, and even if we don't, we have to have enough courage for the truth to pull them to the side and say, no, you're not gonna function like that.
Mm-hmm.
You're not gonna affiliate yourself with us demonstrating those specific degrees or lessons, because that right there is a clear violation of the teachings of the prophet. That
Mm-hmm.
is a clear violation as to what the prophet Obadiah Ali is instructed and has instructed us to do as officials. The prophet also says, or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the government, but to obey hereby. And the one thing you'll find, and anybody who wants to test me on it, if you look at it with the sovereigns, if you just, and we know Google doesn't know everything, but if you look up the father of sovereignty, the person who's going to pop up is William Potter Gale. And when you study William Potter Gale was a European. He was a European supremacist, or what they call so-called white supremacist. He was a Christian thinker, and he's the one who constructed and orchestrated or spearheaded not the foundation of it, because the foundation goes further than that. But in this era of time, much of the rhetoric, the ideals, and the principles that you find a lot of Moorish individuals who are part of in the Moorish paradigm, or saying that they're following the trend of thought of this European who was ultimately he was a supremacist.
Wow.
Yeah, William Potter Gale. Look him up.
And and when you do pull somebody up, right,
Yeah,
and you tell them, they get they get the queen baby or king baby syndrome.
that's right.
Now, what is that syndrome, right? That is a person with a personality pattern where and they are adult and they exhibit immature, childish behaviors and attitudes often characterized by self-centeredness, a need for attention, and a lack of emotional maturity.
Right.
What? Oh, Mo, I ain't, or I ain't doing, you, man. And I've been there because man, the master, the teacher, man, I'm tell you, I've been late a couple times for a meeting or whatever,
Yep.
and the master pull you up and say, Mo, what's your
What's going
problem?
on? Right. What's going on?
And yes, he's right. You get what I'm saying? But because I had a level of immaturity at the time, I'm thinking he trying to tell me what to man, he just doing he's doing what he's supposed to do.
That's right.
So, I mean, and then just like when we tell somebody, hey, listen, that sovereignty ain't that's not a part of oh, they calling you an agent, telling all that. That's childish behavior.
Terrible, man.
It's terrible, man. Oh, pull that picture, pull that divine constitution back up, please.
All right, give me 1 second.
Oh yeah, when you get finished,
No, no, I got you. I'm about to pull it up right now. I put it away, but I got you. Here we
and
go.
I'm not talk. I'm just saying. I constantly make reference to myself because it came a time where I had to hold myself accountable and like you know what he right. So could you send it in on a profit and just blow it up just a little bit so people could see that? Yeah, yeah, that's good.
Good.
Yeah. So
Okay.
for all those who try to say this is a Masonic pose, it's not.
It's not.
If it was, the prophet's hand would be inside of his robe.
Come on.
And if you go to any of those ritual books that the Masonics have, because I'm not one.
Nope.
I never have taken any oaths,
No desire to be one.
no desire.
Uh,
But the prophet's hand is fully exposed in the Masonic tradition. They put their hand inside of their garments.
Come on now.
The prophet hand is not inside of his garment. So this is not a Masonic pose. For those, you see a lot of people that have never visited, never come to a temple and ask a question of what that is or whatever. They automatically assume because of something they read uh, that somebody put out that that's a Masonic pose.
That's right.
It's not. It's not.
That's right.
So I just wanted to address that.
Praise the Lord. And I want to address something too, if you don't mind. So, I know that in dealing with oral tradition, but also the Holy Bible as well, it was referenced or referred to not to remove, or excuse me, not to move the ancient landmark.
Okay.
Because when you do move the ancient landmark, or when you change, I'm paraphrasing, a specific thing, it loses, as you mentioned earlier, it loses its authenticity, it loses its purpose, it also loses the harmony in which it was created. Everything that you see or you just viewed in that divine constitution and bylaws, the prophet put it in there in a specific symmetrical way in order for us to get a better understanding, even down to the color of the letters, even down to how the words are placed, even down to the prayer being underneath the prophet, even down to the prophet being centered, even down to the all-seeing eye of Allah and the other symbols as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's look at this. Let's take a look. Because when you change a thing, you alter it and you confuse. The prophet says that we do not cause confusion. Well, being investigators, because that's what we are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we scientists.
Yeah, Mo, that's right. This right here is confusion, Moors. And we say we're going to do some compare and contrast, but this is confusion. And when you look at this has nothing to do with the Moorish Science Temple of America. It says Ambassador Temple of Moorish-American. And as you continue to look through, this is a sovereign demonstration. And also they started putting Arabic words in it, changing it as if the prophet didn't know what the prophet was doing. As if
Wow.
the prophet didn't know what the prophet was doing. As if the prophet, look at this. The Allah, the mother of the universe, the mother of, come on, man. You changing, you altering the teachings of the prophet. And this is something that's, again, it's in public domain. It's in social media land. It's
Mm-hmm.
on Google, etc. These, you got individuals out here who are misusing the teachings of the prophet.
Mm-hmm.
But then even when you look at it right here, this right here, and I'm just going to highlight it. Who in the world, man? What in the world? Who is this? This isn't the prophet. The prophet, that's not the prophet Noble Ali's name. So when you look at this and when you see what you're seeing right now, compare and contrast. This is a stark contrast to what the prophet Noble Ali brought, what he taught, and it's just some copy and paste makeshift demonstration. So I
Yeah.
just want to put that out there. Like we said, caveat emptor, let the buyer beware.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we want to get to flags pretty soon too, so we want to talk about
Yeah,
flags
yeah.
a little bit.
And we know and understand that Allah is the mother, father, God.
That's right.
We do understand that,
That's
right?
right. That's right.
But when it comes down to changing the, changing the words and it's that's
It's unfortunate, Mo. It's
yeah,
confusing.
it's very unfortunate. And what they doing is they charging people currency,
Come on.
right?
That's right.
That's what they chasing after, the US dollar or some other type of currency,
They
right?
call it fiat, don't they?
I was going to say
They don't really call it that, but they
look,
want it though.
look,
Come
look.
on, man.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
my fiat or my currency is fiat,
But you want it.
but you want me to pay you my fiat for a document such as that?
Makes no sense.
No, man. No.
Makes no sense.
I'm gonna keep my fiat and pay my bills
Right.
and my dues and whatever else I need to do.
Right.
And I'm not.
We're not laughing at people.
I'm
Yeah, we ain't laughing at
I'm laughing at the idea
Right.
that
Right.
I mean, come on. That's it's yeah.
Man,
So praise Allah.
praise Allah. I know that we put in the thumbnail of the program, the flyer or the thumbnail, digital thumbnail. We had a letter on there, and on that letter it had a specific flag on there. Did you want to hit on that point?
Yeah. Let's hit on that flag.
All right.
Because they saying they'll tell you quick that flag is the Al Moroccan Continental Confederation, a red flag with a white canton displayed a green cedar pine in the center of the canton.
Right.
Al Moroccan Continental flag was also taken down in 1774.
Mm.
Well, that's a flag. That is a continental flag, but it comes from it's Massachusetts, and it was flown during the American Revolution.
Right.
And I'm sorry, I mean, this is a little research. I don't see where the Prophet Noble Drew Ali said that this was our flag, and I'm wondering where did they well, I know where
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
I ain't gonna say I know specifically because we don't even know if actually CM Bay is the one who said that.
Right.
Right.
Authorize it. Right.
Yeah, but I mean, he and those signs and symbols that he utilized, I don't even know how that stuff even got can't crept into it. Put it like this.
Go ahead.
CSA is not around any
No.
longer, right?
Right.
So anybody can say, all right, I'm gonna use somebody in my family who has transitioned.
Mm-hmm.
I could easily, you know, the only people that's really left in my family is I'm like the oldest right now, right?
Right.
Besides a couple cousins, but I'm talking about my immediate family. So I could easily go to my sister and my little cousins and say, look, Pop told me X, Y, and Z, and because they trust and love me, they gonna believe what brother Melvin, right, said
Right.
that Pop said, okay?
Right. Right.
And unfortunately, Pop may not have said it. And all that to say is, CM Bay may not have said any of these things,
Mm-hmm.
and they may put it on him or whatever the case may be, but I don't know. But if CM Bay did say it and wrote those things, yeah, he's out of order.
He's out of order. And from what my research and investigation, he was put out of the Moorish Science Temple of America.
Okay.
So I mean,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's foreign, Mo. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
absolutely.
It's a foreign demonstration. Come on
Even
now.
when I try to read it,
Right.
I'm saying this don't even make this. It wasn't making any type of sense to me. Period.
Right.
I mean, like, and we use good common sense.
Right.
And I was like, hold up, this this ain't even catching. Like, excuse me, I ain't even catching the vibration of that.
Not at
Not
all, Mo.
not taking away from whatever he, whatever. Excuse me, whatever he did.
Mhm.
Um, but and I don't see the results of what he did. You get
No,
what
not
I'm
at
saying?
all. Right.
Yeah, praise Allah. So,
Praise Allah.
hmm
So there's another flag, and this flag right here is known in many circles. When you look at it, individuals say, "Well, this is a sovereign citizen's flag," and it is. It is. We'll go to it. Again, if you even, again, you Google, you look it up, all you got to do is type in sovereign citizens flag, you're going to see this popping
oh
up.
yeah, I saw that before.
You're going to see this demonstration popping up. And as a result of it, some places they'll say it's the flag of peace and things of this nature. But
Hmm
again, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, when you look at what the Prophet was putting down during the time of his life and during the inception of the Moorish Science Temple of America, the flag that looks like this was never flown. Never
Right.
flown at all. It wasn't flown alongside the Moorish flag. This flag right here represents a totally different demonstration, and it goes back to the European who I mentioned earlier. That demonstration actually was put down by him, who was
hmm
William Potter Gale, who created the Posse Comitatus.
The posse
Because,
commentaries. Yeah.
right, you want to speak on it, Sheik?
um. No. Well, the posse comitatus, right? That
Yeah.
is a degree that they started taking a lot of antiquated laws that had some were actually real, right?
Okay.
Because
Right.
in order to I learned this in elementary school. In order to tell a lie, you gotta have
Some
some
truth in it.
components of the truth in it.
Correct. Correct.
So when you start dealing with the posse comitatus, a lot of that stuff they had was talking about um, the power of a sheriff.
Yeah.
Um,
14th
now,
Amendment.
yeah, a lot about the 14th Amendment,
Yeah.
um, the original 13th Amendment,
Yeah.
and some other things. So they had to take some truth and mix it with some falsehood in order for people to fall for it.
That's right.
So yeah, and I used to work at a bookstore, right?
Right.
And how I found out about the posse comitatus is this a little thin booklet. It used to cost like $2 or $3, and I brought it, and it's yellow, got like a badge on the front.
Yeah.
When I read it, it was pretty. It's about 8 pages. It was pretty interesting. Um, and I was like, oh, okay. But that's when you said that, I was like, wow, okay,
Right.
yeah. And now it's a lot of other things that stem from it
That's
too.
right.
Yeah, praise Allah.
Praise a lot. Sheik, I got a question for you, or
Uh-huh.
anybody in the chat for that matter. If you use the images, so somebody said, Islam, what is truly needed for the unification of the MST of A, the Prophet intended, granted, the current demonstration you present at the moment is part of the solution. That's a good question.
Hold on.
So they
What?
want to know what is truly needed for the unification of the Moorish side of America as the Prophet intended.
Well, number one is we got to stop practicing goofy stuff. That's one.
Okay.
Unification. It, I'm not going to say that the temples are never going to be um all
Unified.
together.
Well,
All
yeah.
unity. The first thing that we have to do is unify with Allah.
Right.
And if you practice love, true peace, freedom, and justice, like you know, all is well. If your customs in the temple are in line and in conjunction with the Prophet Noble Drew Ali's, then I don't personally see a problem with it. And we can work with you. We can work together.
It's called
And that,
operational unity, Mo.
yeah. What is it called? Say it
We
again.
say we say operational unity. Tour.
Operational unity, and that's what Moorish Sense is all about, right?
Right.
The Moorish Sense Channel is about operational unity. That's that. Actually, before our Grand Sheik, Timothy G. Dingle hyphenated Noble Drew Ali in this era time put the Resurrection book together because he wanted the people to be unified. And
Right.
unification is this, right? If I see Brother Jordan Ill doing something wrong, I don't get on YouTube or Facebook and start trying to put together um documents and all these other things to show Brother Jordan Ill up.
Mhm.
I go to Brother Jordan Ill like Islamo. I
Right.
see some things that I'm in disagreement with. Let's talk about it. Let's work it out. And if Jordan Ill shoot me down at that particular time, like I don't want to head Mo, I gotta go and I gotta lead him where he is at that particular point in time. Pray. Hopefully it come together, and it may not. But at least I tried. But if Brother Jordan Ill trusting the law and is practicing love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, 9 times out of 10, he's gonna hear my appeal. Even though he might get a little, because I know how I get.
Mhm.
When I'm doing something that I ain't supposed to do, and somebody like for example, my wife might tell me, Mo, wash the dishes,
Mhm.
right? And I'm doing all these other things, and I might forget to wash it. And then later on, she come, Mo, why you ain't washing dishes? And I get like, oh, why? You get what I'm saying?
I get it.
So yeah, I mean, it's really simple. It's not hard.
Right.
It's just not going to look the way that we think it should look.
Right.
You know, I visited, and I visited plenty of other temples, and I'm like I'm accepted. We get along very well.
We do.
You
That's
know,
right.
um, and the things that we disagree on, we able to maturely talk about it
Hmm.
and talk about what we disagree with, and we don't air our dirty laundry on YouTube and all these other social media platforms,
Mm.
trying to make us look better than the other person.
Right.
Because everybody get a turn. I
That's
mean,
right. We all do.
so, I mean that I think that in there lies the solution. And if we do truly have issues with someone or a temple or whatever, then fine, let's find a mediator. You know,
Hmm.
um, and I mean, I know you, Sheik. You have training in mediation. So do I,
Yep.
and
That's right.
various other people have. I mean, I'm more than sure that we're able to train people in mediation. But that's the way I think that we should do it. But that's Brother Lions Bay. I could be wrong, but I think that's how it can be done.
Praise the Lord. I'll
Mhm.
give you. I'll give a creative a balanced universe. My apologies. I'll give you my take on it as well. I
Mhm.
think that we all have to start operating from a place of emotional intelligence.
That's right.
I think often that people, specifically brothers, and I can only talk about brothers because what I see, and it's not any particular brother, but we're just talking about leadership in general for the most part, not broad brushing. There's a lot of ego tripping that
Mhm.
occurs in the Moorish Temple of America. I mean, in some instances, in some administrations, I mean, I can't speak for all administrations, but for our administration specifically, the sisters have a voice. And not only they have a voice, but they also have positions of leadership. I
That's
think
right.
that for a long time, the Moorish movement has been very male driven and ego driven. As a result of that, it has allowed brothers to put their egos, their pride above the leadership, above the members. You understand
Mhm.
what I'm saying? And as a result of that, many of the members of these various different, and I don't use the word factions, I don't use the word grand bodies, but branches, because we all belong to one tree.
That's right.
As a result, that the members suffer. It's almost like the equivalent. I give you like this, and I'm not brain shooting anything. It's like you have two siblings. These two siblings grow up in the house together, and as a result of that, they go off and they have a family. They raise a family, and after generations, the children, the grandchildren, etc., don't even know each other, but they
Mhm.
all come from that same origin, and they're
Mhm.
distant strangers to each other.
Mhm.
And I think that one thing that would be part of the solution is, the leaders coming, and it's been done before. It's been done before. It's
Oh
been
yeah,
well documented.
we had unity summits
Right,
and
we've had unity summits, and we've also had just meetings where leaders and leaderships of various different administrations have come together. But the thing is, nobody wants to yield, and as a result of that, because people don't want to yield, not necessarily to a specific degree or understanding, but just to say, you know what, I'm willing to work side by side with my brother has been an issue. I
mhm.
think that according to the teachings of the prophet, we need brothers and sisters to take the reins of not only leadership but a voice in this organization.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? As a result of that, I think that the sisters and the brothers for the degree, and even the youth, those who are younger, would say, my age on down, we want to see change. We want a different perspective. We don't want to continue to go through the same thing that we've been going through the last 100 years. And we have a better rapport with each other. If I just
Mhm.
speaking about generation, where you may belong to a different administration, but we have a good rapport with each other. So I think
Mhm.
that it's going to take us undoing a lot of what has been put out because of misunderstanding and also misuse of this organization and abusing this organization is going to really change it. And once we put all the foolishness aside, like the Sheik said, he said goofiness. I would say foolishness, the childishness, and the lack of emotional intelligence aside. Then we'll see a change and actually committing
Mhm.
ourselves to the teachings of the prophet and not just parroting them or just saying it because it sounds something like something cool and hip to say and do, but actually
Mhm.
making it a part of every part of your life. And that's my take on it.
Yeah, yeah. So praise Allah, because
Praise
I
the
I do believe that there has been a change. Because like it's not all the way that we wanted to see, but those who are attending, attending temple meetings or, uh, if you will, trying to participate some way, somehow to uplift fallen humanity,
Right.
where it is. It's those, it's the bad actors, right? That continue to perpetuate the things that they know is not
It's not right. It's not right,
it's
bro.
not
It
yeah,
ain't
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah,
They
it ain't
but
right.
they continue to perpetuate that, and therefore they become bad actors, and then they'll say stuff like, oh, don't go to a temple because all they gonna do is act like a church, or they sing
They
hymns,
sing
or they read
songs,
the
right? They sing
Bible,
songs, and
and unfortunately, I mean, these are people that live in like Canada.
right.
I don't know if they've been to the United States to be a part of the temple, but they're going off a third party account. Never visited. I, I mean, who? I don't know. But how can you also, if you've never visited the Moorish Science Temple of America or been a part of the Moorish Science Temple of America, how can you help us do anything? And
Right.
not speaking to the individual who asked the question or whatever, but just I've seen people um say certain things, and I'm like, oh no, that's not what we do in the
We
temple.
don't do that. Yeah, it's like where you get this? Like where do you get this from?
Yeah,
Yeah,
where that come from?
yeah. They
So
making
yeah,
stuff up, man.
so I mean, this is a form of it, what we're doing right now, and this is why we do what we do, like not to browbeat people or whatever, but just put,
Uh,
to make sure that people see what we are supposed to be doing. And hey, find it don't have to be Moorish Science Temple of America at 1055 Milton Avenue.
Not at
It could
all.
be as long as it is a Moorish Science Temple of America, and you are going to um, contribute and do your best work.
That's right.
That's what we say. We're not trying to sway people to join us, and you know, um, yeah, I ain't going. I was going to say something, but I'm not going to say it.
I know, bro.
Praise
I
Allah.
know. Either way, you gotta say what you
Yeah,
gotta say.
yeah, or like,
Go
for
ahead.
example, Temple
Yeah,
13 here in Baltimore
yeah.
has was established by the Cook Bay brothers,
That's right.
705 South Sharp Street,
Agreed.
and then there was a whatever happened, one temple that they renumbered went to the east side, then Temple 13 remained on the west side,
West
right?
side. Come on now.
And then after the Cook Bay brothers left, then you had Dr. R. German Bay,
That's right.
who we refer to as being the Prince of Peace.
Right.
After that, um, you had Richardson Dingwell, Timothy Dingwell, and
We had
various
somebody
others.
else there in the mix too, but I didn't put his name
Yeah.
out
Oh
because
yeah,
we did research, but it was another teacher as
yeah,
well.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So we bought the temple number has always been Temple 13,
That's right.
and since I mean we was on Myrtle Avenue,
Come on.
1221.
That's right.
Uh,
Lawrence,
we on
Lawrence Street.
Moses Street, Lawrence Street,
Come on now.
Aiken
Frederick,
Street, Green
Frederick
Mountain Avenue,
Avenue.
Frederick Road,
Right.
Utah Street.
That's Baltimore Street.
Yeah, yeah. So how can you reorganize anything?
Right.
Yeah, we've been functioning.
That's right.
Temple 13 has been functioning.
That has been.
So praise Allah, Mo.
Praise Allah.
Yeah,
Symbolism was, and then we're gonna get into a few more points. So before we got into this part, and before we received that great question, and
yeah, that's a good question.
we thank you, Creative Boundless Universe. We appreciate your question. There was a part that I wanted to put out, and again, we're not, we are not condoning, and we're not endorsing. But I have a question for those who are in the chat, but also I have a question for you as well, Sheik.
Hmm.
If someone used your image and likeness without your permission, how would you feel about it?
Man, I would I would be upset.
You'd be upset, right?
Yeah, I'd be upset.
What if they were using your image and likeness to gain, I guess, money or things of that nature?
Oh, we really got, and they not contributing to my family.
I
Yeah,
could
yeah.
go.
No,
Praise Allah.
we got an issue.
Right. So this website, and I don't know this website, but I looked at it because I just wanted to see. You know, you got individuals against sovereign demonstrations, etc. And they'll say, well, we're not sovereign citizens. However, when you look at, again, the prophet never brought this demonstration. But when you look at it, the prophet,
Hmm.
he did give us the Moorish flag, but you see right there in your right side, the far right, you see that same sovereign flag. It says
Mhm.
Moorish-American National Consulate. And we're not going to go through all the information, but what I did find interesting when I looked at this is you can see right here, you have Moorish Americans from a specific administration. And I'm pretty sure none of these Moorish Americans
Oh,
in
they
this
don't know that.
don't know they on here. They definitely don't know they on here, Mo. And that's misleading. And then you keep going. Then it says home of the Ills, Ali's, Bays, Days, and Ali's. Now, if you look at the back of our authority from 1099,
Uh-huh.
what you will find Ill and Bay. But
Right.
what you will find Ali, the prophet. But you won't find Al's and you won't find Days.
Right.
So what we find right here is this is a new invention or innovation. You also won't find the prophet ever saying that Islam means I self law and master. That's a demonstration. Maybe you can speak on the sheet, but it comes from a different organization.
Yeah. So you have acronyms, right?
Right.
Um, and that's a way of some people say Islam means Allah named our religion after us. I stimulated life and matter.
Right.
Um, they'll say it means um man, I see life around me.
Right.
Just ways of potentially learning or deeper lesson or whatever the case may be. But that I self law and master came from that CMB degree.
CMB degrees, right.
That, that's where that
Truth and
that's where that,
falsehood.
yeah.
Yeah. Truth and falsehood, as you mentioned, strangely mixed. As you mentioned earlier with that demonstration by way of the Europeans, of course, you know, Il and Bay have specific names, but then they add specific things in it as well. And you start going down and you start seeing other demonstrations being put in there, and that's CM Bay again, again. But I want to go further down. Let's go further down because you're using good Moorish Americans
Oh
to
yeah,
push
they
it.
don't. They're
And
not a
they
part of that.
definitely, I know these Moorish Americans, they definitely aren't. I know they didn't sign off for this, man. So at the end of the day, when you look at what's being promoted, you know what I'm saying? You have individuals, and I'm gonna use the word grift. You have individuals who are grifting in the name of the Moorish Science Temple of America. And as a result of that, people are getting a misunderstanding. Now you may ask yourself, well, Brother Jordan, why are you going so hard against um, this specific demonstration? Shouldn't your focus be more so on the Moorish Science Temple of America, the teachings of the prophet, and uplifting our people? You're absolutely right. But what I found, even here locally, a few years ago, there was an article that was put out where a woman who was a widow, her husband had just died, or
Hmm.
not died, but passed form, and she had to put her house up. She had to put her house up. Her house was for her worth $1.5 million, and I'll show you the article. And as a result of that, she had to put it out because you had these individuals who were claiming to be Moorish Americans, but in all actuality, these individuals were wolves in sheep's clothing. They were sovereign citizens. They moved into this lady's house and they messed up her property. So I ain't gonna read the whole article, but I wanted it out there so people can see because we're making a clear distinction. So it says this is Yahoo News, but it was all over the news.
Hmm.
It says
I
after
remember
a
that.
widow, yeah, she put up her house. So she put her house up. It says after we all because we had received information about it too.
Hmm.
After a widow put up her $1.5 million mansion on the market, a group of sovereign citizens moved in, changed the locks, and tried to claim it as their own. All right, going up, and I'm going to stop right. I'm just going to go to the first part. Give me 1 second. It's buffering. If it's meant for it to come up. Oh wait a minute. All right, went back. So look how that worked. Look how that worked. Um, let me see. I got it right there. All right, praise the Lord. It's coming up. Let's switch it over. I'm gonna remove this and come right back. Thank you for being with us. We're coming right back on. with the article because I want to make the distinction, and after that, we're going to stop. We're gonna make a few more points, and then we'll yield. It's lagging a little bit. Go ahead, so you can continue while I'm pulling it up.
Yeah, stuff like that you are addressing. We're just saying that the Moorish Science Temple of America had it is doesn't teach anything close to what they did,
Right.
and people using the prophet's name, Allah's name, or Moorish in the name of doing that. No, because yeah, that's out of order. So um, yeah, I think we definitely come a long way, and we are
Mm-hmm.
going to continue. We're going to continue to promote. You know, when you see us, I tell people all the time, don't come at me with no goofy stuff.
That's right.
I ain't for it. I ain't with it. You know,
Nah. Well,
I'm
in
about
the end of the day, go
yeah, I'm about love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and that's it.
ahead.
Like yeah, yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna get more into that and more into this topic on the next segment. And again, we're not gonna beat a dead horse with the topic, but we definitely
Mhm,
have to make a distinction. And we also going to see some things, just making a clear distinction. We're going to focus on
mhm,
some other various topics as well, just so people can get an understanding as to where we're coming from and how we are, how we're moving.
mhm.
You want to mention anything? You want to put anything out there before we conclude in regards to any upcoming events or segments or anything that we're going to be doing?
Oh, no. So I know we have a brotherhood meeting coming up. The exact date I don't have. I'm gonna have to get that from Sheik Rogers Bay
Okay,
um, and Sheik Williams Bay.
right.
Also, we have um, I know Ancient Forefathers Day is coming up. We also great have a day. We're gonna have a day of honor, right?
Yep. Day honor.
That's April the 20th, where some of our Moorish ancestors are have their burial sites.
That's right.
We're going to give them honor, or it's going to be our day of honor, basically.
That's right.
Um, so we're going to be doing that on the 20th. Um, what else? Oh, for those who live in the state of Maryland, right? Um, and who are drivers, we are now custodians of um, if you would like society tags,
Legal tags.
legal tags. Yeah, this is not like no.
Family sovereign
Yeah,
demonstration.
no. This ain't no. This is through the actual Department of Motor Vehicle.
That's right.
Um, you will be able to contact the Moorish Science Temple of America at 1055 Milton Avenue.
That's right.
Um, and you will be able to get those if that's what you want. But it's not for you to break the law, or like it's not for you like I ain't paying insurance and all that. That's not.
Anything, right.
It's not
Get
that
out,
type of demonstration.
get out there free thought. No, it ain't that.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, what else? Man, just my wife has to. I don't know. My wife might be offline now 'cause it's late.
So yeah,
She just did
that's right.
a a video shoot where
Mhm.
she's talking about what unity actually looks like.
That's right.
And the song is called "I'm Building It," right? Um, it's a nice song and everything. It's a nice. It's put nicely put together. Um, I think she trying to hide the video from me because yeah. I think she trying. No, it just got the finishing touches. But
Right.
she did. She she used her creative talent, right?
That's
And
right.
so that I know uh it's some other things that Sheikah Seabreeze Bay is doing.
Yeah, she
We,
has a channel on YouTube now. She
yeah.
has a channel, I think, Moorish Light Revisited. It's
Oh, Moorish Light continues.
continues. That's what it is. But she can
Yeah,
see Breeze Bay now.
yeah. Her history in law. And, we have our sister temple in Bel Air on Bel Air Road.
That's right.
We also have another sister temple in Park Heights.
Nice. That's
I
right.
don't know the exact address of it
Right.
yet. I mean, we know it, but I wasn't prepared tonight
Right.
fully.
You also have our
Um,
sister temple on 2900 Preston.
2900 Pressman Street.
Right.
Um, I do know that there's also a temple somewhere like close to Coppin. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know the address. It's on North Avenue.
On North Avenue. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
I know it's one there.
Right.
Um, we have a couple temples in Richmond.
That's right.
Uh, so just I'm asking people to give the Moorish Science Temple of America a chance. And
Got one. I
yeah,
got one.
go ahead.
Shane, there we have. So 320.
3222 Bel Air Road.
Yeah. If you live locally, buy a candle for my wife.
Oh yeah, yeah.
She has
Praise
all.
Allah. That's right.
I got to plug in
Right.
Urban Bibliophile. It's my
That's
wife.
right.
That's our candle company. She makes her own candles from all organic products. So
Right.
reach out to Sister Tamika Jordan Hill to get your candles. I'm burning one right now because it smells good. It's actually healthier, better than anything you get from Bed Bath and Beyond or Bath and Body Works, whatever that thing is called.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of videos have been showing up. They've been blowing up. So get
Mm.
support Moorish-American businesses.
Yeah,
But she also
absolutely.
has tote bags as well. She has tote bags. So she's selling.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, and stay tuned because we're gonna be doing we're gonna be doing a little something soon where we are promoting Moorish American business,
that's
right?
right.
Um actually, you know, I have African mass
That's right.
like Ghana.
That's
I
right.
I had mass from Ghana, Senegal, um, legitimate wood mass, Cameroon, uh, black soap, goat
Mm-hmm.
milk soap, black far soap, which is a
Right.
charcoal soap,
That's right.
shea butter, white and yellow. So we just doing things slowly. Um, so praise Allah.
Praise the Lord.
And I know it's some other stuff that oh kufis, you
Right.
know, uh some of the kufis are a little on the expensive side because they are handmade,
Mm-hmm.
are of really good quality. Some winter kufis. Um so yeah, just that's what we have at this point in time. We do have books as well,
That's
right?
right.
So um and more to come. We have hardback. Mo, could you hold up that Circle 7, please? We have that's a hardback Circle 7.
That's right.
Actually have those. If you would like to make a bulk order, you can contact us.
Islam.
We also have some softback ones that are the same size.
That's right.
Um, so praise Allah, you can what's our website again, Mo?
Our website, I'll put it on the channel, but our website is www.moorishsciencetemple.org.
Okay. And if you want to get in contact with us about any of those things, you can contact us via um the website, which was just put up by the host,
That's
right?
right.
And praise Allah.
Praise Allah. You can also reach out to us as moorishsciencemedia@gmail.com
Mhm.
and then msthq@gmail.com. That's for the temple. And this other one was for Moorish Sense. If you're in Baltimore metropolitan area, you want to come out tomorrow. Our holy day is Friday from 8 to 10. And then our Sunday school, Moorish Sunday school, is on Sundays from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Every Friday, every Sunday.
Praise Allah.
Praise the Lord. To conclude this segment, thank you for tuning in to the Moorish Sense Channel. We're going to end off on this note with the Moorish-American prayer. Islam,
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 Islam.
Islam.
Allah, Allah, the Father of the universe,
Allah, the Father of the universe,
the Father of love,
the Father of love,
truth,
truth,
peace,
peace,
freedom,
freedom,
and justice.
and justice.
Allah is my protector,
Allah is my protector,
my guide,
my God,
and my salvation,
and my salvation,
by night
by night
and by day.
and by day,
Through his holy prophet,
through his holy prophet,
Drew Ali.
through Ali.
Amen.
Amen.
Islamism.
Islam.